I'm Morgan, and today I want to talk about how I loathe the new Wuthering Heights trailer. And Wuthering Heights is my all-time favorite book. It is a book about revenge and a child who was treated like a monster and who he grows up to be. It does have romance in it, it does have marriages, it has a lot of supernatural elements, but at its core, it is a deep, dark, depressing story about Heathcliff and the Earnshaws and the Lincolns and the lives that these characters have led. And it's not a happy book, but I love how it touches on difficult things like racism and child abuse and domestic abuse and mental health struggles. And so I love this book. It's my favorite book of all time. And the trailer for the new Wuthering Heights movie did this book dirty. First of all, it looks like it's kind of focusing on like the sex. It looks like it's trying to paint it up as some steamy but also psychologically dark romance, and it's like, that's not what Wuthering Heights is. Yes, Kathy, like the original Kathy times Heathcliff, yeah, like there's something really intriguing about that. They kind of feel like, as I've gotten older, it's like their relationship dynamic feels a little bit codependent or unhealthy, but it's I see why people focus on it, because yeah, like they're obsessed with each other. But I don't like when that is treated as like the main aspect of Wuthering Heights. One, because it kind of ignores lots of other parts of the book, but two, Catherine dies as a teenager, and so it is weird to me to be sexualizing a character who dies at like, I think 18 in the book. And I also don't like the casting choices, because Margot Robbie is, I think, in her like 30s, and she's playing a character who dies in her teens. And so I do think I get frustrated when a lot of the adaptations of the novel kind of just focus on like the first generation and try and make the book in kind of like a romance story. Whereas, yeah, Catherine dies young. And so I don't like when she is sexualized. I don't like when she is sexualized. She is a very troubled teenager who was orphaned, who was raised by kind of a not really great influence. Like, her older brother did not do a very good job of filling in for her dad, and who I think almost marries the Linton, like she marries into the Linton family, not necessarily because she loves Edgar Linton. Like, yeah, she's fond of him, but she wants a better life for herself and for Heathcliff. Like, that's one of her motivations that she's telling Nellie, is that she wants to raise them, and if she marries Heathcliff, she'll be a penniless beggar. And so, to me, Catherine, kind of, the older Catherine, marries to escape her terrible childhood home. Or at least that's kind of like one of the motivations I see for her. And so, it kind of just, it icks me out, or it makes me feel weird as I've gotten older, to see just like a book that's supposed, like the character in the book, the older Catherine, she is a teenager when she dies. So I don't like when she's sexualized. I don't like when that romance aspect is like really played up. It's like, when I was a teenager myself, it's like, oh yeah, this is so romantic. This is so, but then it's like, when I've reread this like a year or so ago, I will post my reading videos of this. I need to finish. Okay, I need to actually just edit. I hate editing with a writing passion. You will notice that. I will. I've actually like read this book 3 times, and I will post my reading videos of this. Where was I going with this? But yeah, Heathcliff and Kathy are like a doomed romance, and I see like why people love them, but both of them have problems, and Heathcliff is not necessarily a good person. Like, he's a villain. He's an extremely well-written, relatable, almost likable villain, but he's not a good person. And so I don't think you should be romanticizing him per se. Like, I want to fix him, but you see where that got Isabella Linton. Do not try and fix him. Do not try and fix him. Like, Isabella thought she could fix him, and then he hangs her dog. Or actually, I think Nellie technically saves the dog before it dies. Thank goodness. Doesn't Nellie? Yeah, I think Nellie saves the dog, right? And he beats his wife. So do not romanticize Heathcliff. Like, yes, there are beautiful things about him still, but he is not some hot character that you want to, like, romanticize in a movie. Like, that is not a good choice. Like, I get that people, like, sometimes, like, you want fictional characters who you would never want in real life, but I think, like, can we please stop acting like Heathcliff is like some Mr. Darcy character? He is not, and I hate when Hollywood portrays him to be. So, yeah, that's something I wanted to vent about. And another thing I really want to talk about, and needs to be talked about, Heathcliff is a person of color. Heathcliff is not white. And I do not like how so many of the adaptations of Wuthering Heights neglect the fact that Heathcliff is facing discrimination based on his perceived race. I actually made an entire video about this, like, I think about a year or so ago. But Heathcliff is treated worse than Catherine, like, by the Lintons when they're caught trespassing. Heathcliff is treated worse. He gets thrown out, whereas Catherine is allowed to stay. And he just faces a lot of subtle and sometimes not so subtle forms of racism in the society in which he lives. And that does impact, like, how he's treated. And I think that goes into, like, his character arc and stuff. And so I think that sometimes when adaptations just cast him as, like, the same race as, like, say, Catherine, and the Lintons, it leaves out part of that story. And so I think, like, I get that, like, oftentimes with artistic productions, like, you just want to cast whoever you think the best person for the role is. And, like, there are times when that might be the right choice. I just think that for this particular story, they are leaving something out when they don't cast Heathcliff as a person of color. And I feel sad too, because it's like, this would be a wonderful role for someone maybe of Romani descent or maybe Indian descent, because there are multiple speculations about what Heathcliff's actual parentage is, because he was found starving on the streets of Liverpool. But I think this would have been a wonderful role for someone of a different background to be able to be cast in. And so I don't like how I don't like how, once again, it's just like Heathcliff is being portrayed as, like, a white actor in a predominantly white society, because I think it really does not portray some of the struggles that he faced. And I think representation is important. Like, I'm autistic, and so I have not always had the best representation in the media growing up, and so I do understand that, like, representation matters. So I really have some concerns about, like, the way that the lead actor and actress were cast in this. Like, they're just not representative of the book at all. Like, we have a blonde mid-30s woman playing a teenage girl who is always described as, like, I think she has, like, dark hair and dark eyes. She contrasts with the Linton. She's kind of, like, wild and free, or at least she wants to be wild and free. Like, I remember, like, when she's having her mental health issues, she's, like, wants to be young and wild and free on the moors again. She wishes she was a girl again. And so yeah, I think that's also another part of her story, is that in Catherine marrying into the Lintons, into this gentility, which she's not genteel really, like she's in adapting to that, like she's giving up a part of herself. And so yeah, I Margot Robbie, I think, just isn't the right choice for a Catherine. Like what's the one, Kate Bush in her music videos of Wuthering Heights, I think and her songs did like the most realistic representation I can think of Catherine, but like as a ghost version of Catherine, because Catherine was young and didn't necessarily have a lot of life experience, and had she'd had a hard life, but she didn't have a lot of good role models growing up to teach her how to be a better person, how to make good life decisions. And yeah, I really think it's important for, like, I'd love to see an adaptation someday where Heathcliff is a person of color, and I think there might be like one movie of that I haven't actually seen yet, but that also doesn't treat the book as just like some romance, but instead focuses on like the intergenerational trauma more. And yeah, I really love the Ralph Fiennes adaptation, because it was like the first adaptation that I saw. But I liked how that particular movie, even though like there are definitely some issues with that movie, but it did manage to capture the fact that it's like there are two generations of people. And like how Heathcliff in taking his revenge, he's not necessarily a nice person. He doesn't treat his, like, the love of his life's daughter very well at all. And so yeah, I love Wuthering Heights. It's my favorite book of all time. I love it. I've read it 3 times. But I don't think I will see the new Wuthering Heights movie when it comes out in like Valentine's Day or whatever. And that's another thing that I don't like. The fact that they're releasing it, like the preview made it look like it's being released on Valentine's Day. To me, that tells me they're gonna like push up the whole romance aspect of it. And it's like, I like romances. Like, I love, like, say, Look to the Spring by Ruby on Ayers. Like, I like romances sometimes, but that's not what Wuthering Heights at its core is. It's not a romance story about sex on the moors. It's a story about two very troubled families, and just the Heathcliff's very hard life. It's almost Heathcliff's story more than anyone else's story, even though Nellie's the narrator. So yeah, I love Wuthering Heights, and I have no desire to see the movie after seeing that awful trailer. It's just butchering. It's like butchering my baby, my precious little favorite book. So yes, I hope that this video inspires you to, I guess I'd say, talk about your interests. And I just couldn't battle this in. And also, I was gonna say, I'm trying out like some new selfie mode on my phone. Apparently the video can do it's some background effect thingamabob. I thought it would add to like the feel, because Wuthering Heights is kind of like a dark, gritty, unkempt book. So I thought the added lighting would like the effect would add to that vibe. And also, like, I'm wearing my Emily Brontë necklace and just a raggedy old nightgown, and my hair like I had it curled the other day and it turned it has fallen out, but I thought that went with the kind of just like unkempt vibe of the books, because it does take place in like, how do I put this, Wuthering Heights is very unkempt. The Grange is very well kempt, but Wuthering Heights is unkempt. So yeah, have a great day. Bye.